Zlatco, the cat who lived in music. I never thought a cat would one day teach me something about music, but that's exactly what Zlatco did. He wasn't just a pet, he became my silent audience, my tough little teacher, and in a way, someone who taught me more than I ever expected. It all started when he was still just a tiny kitten. I remember that morning so clearly. I sat down at the piano, pressed a few keys for fun, and out of nowhere, a little ball of fluff came running in from the other room. He jumped onto the seat beside me, curled himself up, and just listened. No scratching, no climbing, no knocking things over, just listening. That was the very first moment I realized music meant something special to him. Over time, it became our ritual. Every single morning before breakfast, before work, before anything else, Zlatco would lead us straight to the piano. He'd sit there, calm but expectant, with a look that said, "Well, play. I'm waiting." And so, we played Bach, jazz, or sometimes just a few improvisations. To him, it didn't matter. He'd close his eyes, sometimes purring softly in rhythm, and eventually drift into dreams, as if the music itself was a warm blanket wrapped around his soul. Honestly, there were times I thought maybe he feels music even deeper than I do. But Zlaco wasn't just a passive listener. If I paused for too long, he'd lift his head and stare at me with this serious look, like a tiny conductor judging my performance. Once, I purposely played offbeat just to see what he'd do, and sure enough, he hopped down, swished his tail, and walked away as if he were offended. From that day on, I promised myself I'd never let him down again. He could be so endearing, too. Sometimes he'd stretch out on top of the piano lid, his body gently vibrating with every note. Other times, he'd place a soft paw on my knee, as if to say, "Keep going, I'm listening." And in his own mischievous way, he even composed now, and then stepping across the keys or batting a sheet of music to the floor. We always laughed and said, "Guess he doesn't like that piece." What amazed us most was this: Zlatco slept best when music filled the house. Not in silence, not in the quiet of the night, but right there, in the middle of melodies. He'd stretch, breathe deeply, and drift into the most peaceful sleep, as if the notes themselves were carrying him into dreams. Guests who visited were always surprised. "Does he really love music that much?" they'd ask, and we'd just smile and nod. For us, it had become routine, but it never lost its magic. Every time I saw him curled up beside me while I played, I felt this quiet gratitude, because it wasn't just music anymore, it was a bond. Sometimes I think Zlatco felt music in its purest form. No theory, no rules, no schools of thought, just feeling. just the heartbeat hidden inside every sound. And in his quiet way, he reminded me why I loved music in the first place. Zlatco wasn't just a cat who liked music, he lived inside it. And now I can't imagine a single morning without my little listener with those eyes that seem to hear straight into my soul. And you know, his story reminds me of something important. When you welcome an animal into your life, you never really know what gift they'll bring you. Sometimes it's laughter, sometimes it's comfort, and sometimes it's a lesson you never thought you needed. So if you're thinking about adopting a pet, do it with love and with responsibility. Prepare yourself to give them a full, happy life. Because when you open your heart to them, they'll open theirs to you in ways you could never imagine. And if Zlaco's story touched you, go ahead and hit like, share it with a music lover or a cat lover, or maybe both. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more warm, loving stories about these little souls who change our lives in the most unexpected ways.